Life is so absurd for us Gen Z and Millennials these days that sometimes you just have to wonder if any of this is even real. What if it's all just a video game, a simulation from an advanced civilization that we're all thrown into for some random sadistic reason? I mean, it would make a lot of sense actually. Think about it. In a video game, you have rules and restrictions coded into the program to make it a reasonable challenge. Depending on the game, you can't just fly anywhere you want. You can't just kill everything in one hit. You need to acquire resources and work really hard for them just to survive. And this actually makes a lot of sense, because if we could literally do anything we wanted, we'd just effortlessly beat the game in no time at all, and well, where's the fun in that, right? And just like in a video game, we have rules and restrictions in real life too. These restrictions are mostly put on us through the programming of the financial system. Just like how in Minecraft, we're forced to work for resources to survive, but for us Gen Z and Millennials, it feels like the evil kid watching over the simulation is deliberately adjusting the settings, turning up the difficulty to absolute nightmare mode. Every single year, the cost of living sliders go up. Every single year, the wages go down. Every single year, new rules and restrictions are added, like how they made college a mandatory pay-to-win expansion pack. And how just like in every video game, everything now is a microtransaction subscription fee where you never ever actually own anything. This simulation is officially a nightmare difficulty video game that feels impossible to win. But what if that's because we've been playing the wrong game all along? What if we could play an entirely different game instead? Every game has an end game, an ultimate objective, and for pretty much every generation up until now, the end game has always been money. The winners and losers of the game of life have always been determined by who has the most money and wealth. And from the time you were born, you were thrown into this game without your consent and told that you had no choice but to play it. Everything you've been forced to do from the time you could consciously even remember life was all for the ultimate end game of making more money. Think about it. When you were 5 years old, barely cognizant of life, you were thrown into kindergarten. Why? Well, to start studying so that one day you could make more money. When you were in high school, you were constantly pressured to get better grades so that you could get into a good college, get a better job, and earn more money. And everything you're forced to do in your daily life today, whether that's showing up to work or applying for jobs, is all for the ultimate end game of money. But what if we got it all wrong? Not in the sense that money isn't important. Everyone knows and has experienced that it is. But what if it just isn't the ultimate end game here? What if money is simply a means and a resource to obtain a different ultimate end goal? Freedom. This is an important question that a lot of young people are waking up to and asking right now. And they're starting to find answers. This is Justus Reid, a young American influencer who's recently absolutely blown up on TikTok, amassing over 1.7 million followers. Whenever you hear the word influencer these days, a bunch of negative associations probably pop up into your mind like a knee-jerk reaction. And I don't blame you. At this point, this term has been hijacked by scammers selling fake lives of riches and luxuries in order to keep selling you their courses. But Justus is literally the exact opposite of that. He achieved his clout not by showing off luxurious mansions and fancy Lambos, but by showing off his simple 5,000 euro house he just bought in the Balkans. And he's winning. Most of the rich millionaire influencers that dominated the space not that long ago have drastically fallen off. While Justus, a young guy renovating a 5,000 euro house in the woods, is captivating the attention of millions. This is living algorithmic proof that the game has changed. Gen Z and Millennials have seen that the old game of going to college, getting into $50,000 of student loan debt, and bootlicking your way up the corporate ladder is a complete joke and a scam. We're playing a different game now. In the corporate boomer world, the name of the game was money. He who dies with the most toys wins. Now, just like in a game, there are resources you have to manage and expend in order to achieve the end goal. Time, health, and energy, to name a few. And as someone who grew up with boomer parents, I watched as they and their fellow boomers burned out literally all their other resources just for the sake of money. They aged horribly and destroyed their health. They had far higher rates of divorce than any other generation. They even totally ruined their relationships with their own children, as they wanted us to play their games and couldn't understand why we refused to. Now, to be fair, a lot of them are rich, far richer than any of us could ever fathom. So, was it all worth it in the end? I'll let you be the judge of that. But we can all agree that it came at a hefty cost. Gen Z, on the other hand, has seen that the old game was a total scam. So they're playing a new game of replacing money with freedom as the end goal. Money now takes a backseat and becomes a resource to achieve that end goal, but not the end goal itself. Once you understand this is the exact mindset shift you need to finally free yourself. It's important to note that while money isn't the end-all be-all anymore, it's still a valuable resource that still matters even in the new game. I'm sure a lot of you will point out that while Justus was able to escape the 9-to-5 with a lot less money than most, he still had 5,000 euros laying around somewhere to invest. The point of this video isn't to tell you that money isn't important or that you don't need it at all to be happy. Of course, you're going to need some. But rather, the point is to show you that it's not the ultimate end goal. It's just a means to achieve the end goal. And while, yes, you still need some money, you always will, you might not need nearly as much as you think, especially with this new mindset shift. Justus has shown that you can effectively retire without needing to work 65 years for a pension that's not even going to be there anyways. So, if we were to evaluate Justus's build in the new game of life, it'd probably be fair to say his money attribute is, let's say, around 50 out of 100. But without the stresses and the sheer time theft of a 9-to-5 job, his time and health attributes are probably around an 80. This gives them an overall rating of, let's say, around 75 out of 100 towards the end goal of freedom. On the other hand, the way the boomers played the old game, they literally sacrificed all their points in every other attribute solely for the sake of money. And while, yes, many of them did achieve a 100 in the realm of money, was it really worth it to completely sacrifice everything else? I don't think so. Hey guys, so I'm on a mission and I need your help. You see, I've made it the purpose of this channel to defend Gen Z from all these nasty, delusional Gen Z haters, and I've just realized we're starting to get close to taking down the most despicable one yet, the angry guy. This guy is not just another delusional old fart calling Gen Z lazy. He's literally had videos where he openly celebrates Gen Z suffering and even dying. He's just straight up a terrible, terrible human being. Now, thankfully, his channel is rapidly dying and we are rapidly gaining ground on him as we speak. So, if you're new here and enjoying this content, definitely consider subscribing and helping us take down the biggest Gen Z hater out there. The current goal is to surpass him in subscribers by the end of summer. With your help, we can absolutely do this. Part 2, Revenge Saving. Another great example of a young Zoomer who's playing this new game of prioritizing freedom over money very well is a familiar face we've talked about on this channel a few times. The Chinese revenge-saving streamer Xiao Jai Jai. She's become a leader in the whole Let It Rot movement in China where, just like everywhere else, Gen Z is leading the charge in exposing just how BS the old system was. Xiao Jai Jai is unemployed and carefully tracks her budget to make sure she spends no more than 10 Chinese yuan or about $1.30 per day on food. She's actually managed to cook up some pretty impressive meals: noodles, meat, eggs, and vegetables, to name a few. Now, a couple of you in previous videos commented that this isn't necessarily the perfect strategy, that this can't possibly be good for her health. One of you even thinks she's going to absolutely crash her health. Now, I'm no nutritionist, but what I can say for certain is this. Is this $1.30 per day diet an exceptional, perfect 100 out of 100 rating for your health? Of course not. But let's be honest, neither is the diet of the average Westerner working a 9 to 5. Perhaps the worst thing about working a 9 to 5 is that on top of crashing your health with these unbelievable amounts of work-related stress, you're also left with not that much time to cook healthy meals for yourself. We all saw our boomer parents having to get up early for work, throw together some quick sugar and corn syrup packed pancakes, drop by Starbucks to consume literal liquid calories in the form of a sugar cake disguised as a frappuccino, then come home after a long day at work and order a quick double cheeseburger with fries and a milkshake. So if I had to compare her diet to that of our work-obsessed boomer parents, it's absolutely no contest that she comes out on top. Is it perfect? No. In an ideal world, we'd all have the best organic food and professional chefs available right on command. That is, if you really want to achieve that perfect 100 out of 100 health diet rating. But obviously, that's not realistic for just about anyone at this point. So it's all just about making the most of what we have. So if we were to compare her build to that of our boomer parents, Xiao Jai Jai probably scores around 70 out of 100 on the health attribute, and let's say 90 out of 100 on the free time attribute. And let's say she makes 30 out of 100 on money, depending on how much she makes from her streams. This gives us an overall freedom rating of around, let's say, 65. And once again, compared to our boomer parents who sacrifice literally everything to get a 100 score on money, it's safe to say she wins. We're not coping here. We're not saying that money doesn't matter at all. Of course it does. We're merely pointing out that it's not the end-all be-all and not even the final ultimate end goal of the game. One reason revenge saving is such an OP strategy for the different game we're playing is that unlike with the other builds, you don't need any money at all to start. I'm sure a lot of you will point out that with Justus, although he started off with less than most people, he still had an initial 5,000 euros to invest, which not every young person has, especially in this economy. Revenge saving, however, is something literally anybody can do. In fact, not only does it not require an initial investment, you actually immediately save money when you start doing it. You can almost think of it as having negative initial investment costs. Conclusion. So, once again, I want to emphasize none of these solutions are perfect. None of them are ever going to get you a perfect 100 out of 100 rating on the end goal of freedom. Many of you, I'm sure, will point out how Justus has to live out in the woods, how his 5,000 euro house undoubtedly needs a lot of renovation, how he's still going to have to find a way to get food. You'll also point out how Xiao Jai Jai doesn't have the absolute healthiest diet, and how it might not be possible to get all your costs down that low in the West. Hey, all these points are valid and 100% true, but you're thinking about it the wrong way. Just like in a video game, no build, no strategy, no character is ever going to be a perfect 100 out of 100 in every single attribute. If you know of a way to score a perfect 100 out of 100 on everything, well, then please share it with us, as you'd quickly and easily beat this nightmare difficulty game of life, and we should all really learn from you. So it's not necessarily about scoring a perfect 100 out of 100 on everything here. It's not about finding the absolute perfect strategy or build. That, once again, simply doesn't exist. It's about comparing these strategies relative to the original strategy of just going the traditional route and working a 9 to 5. And what you'll quickly realize is that, yes, while none of these strategies are perfect, most of them trump the traditional path of a 9 to 5 by far. This was even true when comparing these paths to that of our work-obsessed boomer parents, so they apply even 10 times more for our generation. The one attribute a traditional 9 to 5 job used to guarantee was a high rating in money, at least. But as many of you know, jobs now pay such crap wages, it doesn't even provide that anymore. I've noticed a recent energy shift in a lot of you as of late. You're becoming much less doomeristic and much more eager to find solutions, to find the next OP strategy or build to be able to win this nightmare difficulty game of life. You are right on the edge, ready to take the leap of faith. The only thing stopping you now is a bit of hesitation and fear. Because once again, none of these strategies are perfect. But the question you need to be asking yourself isn't if these new strategies are perfect. They aren't, they never will be. The real question you need to ask yourself is it really worse than working a 9 to 5 in this economy and not even making enough money for it to be worth it in the end anyways. Now, beyond Justus and Xiao Jai Jai, there are many more young Zoomers finding other insanely creative and OP strategies to achieve their freedom and win this nightmare difficulty game of life. From moving overseas to even surviving in the wilderness, we explore these more in this video right here. Check it out. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.